Hey there, this is the last part of a series of videos where I take a look at this Fallout New Vegas Iceberg and talk about the different facts, lore, and theories on it. If you haven't seen the others yet, the playlist will be linked in the description right above my other playlist of reviews and video essays if you want to check those out too. If you have seen the others, then welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me again. I was originally intending on posting this in 4 videos, but I decided on lumping the last 4 layers together in this video since this is where it starts to get real, goofy. The previous layers had a few wild speculative theories on it, but these last ones are mostly wild speculation and bad creepypasta bait, so I felt like it was fitting to make the last 4 layers into one bigger video. Keep in mind with these types of entries, I'm doing my best here to extrapolate logic out of what I can only assume is schizophrenic ramblings. So be patient with me, and if I get some stuff wrong, sorry, these are some really goofy goober mode entries. With all that out of the way, get comfy, get your lobotomite goggles on, and let's delve into the rabbit hole that is the deepest layers of the Fallout New Vegas Iceberg. Sentient Tumbleweeds. This one could actually be a few different things. If the Courier goes to the Brooks Tumbleweed Ranch and enters the shack, you can find 2 tumbleweeds on the couch in the bed. Unlike the others found throughout the game, these can't be moved or picked up. Also, funny enough, all the items in the shack are marked as owned, possibly alluding to the idea that the tumbleweeds are sentient and that they own that shack and the items in it. This could also be referring to some more cut content. 2 creature versions of the tumbleweeds exist in the game files, the radioactive tumbleweed and the wind brahmin. If you've seen my last video, that one will make more sense. These 2 move on their own and can be killed, thus you could consider them basically being sentient. Hidden console commands. The console is a debugging tool in the PC version of New Vegas. It's used to alter game values, spawn entities and items, and if you're a stinker, you can cheat the game. This entry states that there's hidden console commands. I don't know where this came from, but there aren't any. If you type help into the console, it prints out some basic commands, so maybe they assume that the rest are hidden. However, a quick Google search yields the full list of commands and what each one does. That being said, if you're not using it to spawn several copies of Fantastic, then you're doing it wrong. Yangtze Memorial Artifact. The Yangtze Memorial is a location in New Vegas near the Good Springs Cemetery next to an abandoned shack. It's a pre-war memorial made to honor those who died in the Yangtze campaign, but is now mostly used as a landmark to navigate the Mojave. I'm not sure what artifact it could be referring to. The only things here are hollowed out rock, a duffel bag, and some graves. The only other information I could find on this is this mod. However, I don't know if that's what it's referring to. Apparently, Victor can sometimes be seen here jumping to his death, so that's something we know now. He can save the Courier, but he can't save himself. Can we get an F in the chat? Lucky 38 Underground Passage. I couldn't find anything about an underground passage, however, this could be referring to either the Lucky 38 basement that you visit when you upgrade the Securitrons for either Yes Man or House, or an alleged maintenance door that would have been in the H&H Tools factory that would have been part of the quest The Moon Comes Over the Tower, which is known to have had whole sections cut from it. Courier 666. So I know this one sounds like standard shitty gaming creepypasta, but it actually could be referring to the Fallout New Vegas Collector's Edition official game guide. In the character archetype section, there's a suggested build for the Courier called Gary 666, which is just a Courier that's spec'd into energy weapons. The author really put his OC do not steal in the book, basically. The NCRCF riot was staged. The NCRCF riot was an event where the prisoners from the correctional facility caused an uprising and eventually killed the guards and escaped prison. They did this by stashing small amounts of blasting powder, and when most of the guards were ordered away from the prison, they used it to break out. I personally don't think it was staged. You can see in many places throughout the Mojave that the NCR forces are spread so thin that they can't actually do their jobs, or really even protect people, so I think it's just the powder gangers taking advantage of this to get their freedom. Fisto is Primm Slim's sibling. Fisto is a Protectron located in Cerulean Robotics that you obtain for James Garrett in the side quest Wang Dang Atomic Tango, in which you reprogram him to provide other services. He's really packing a whole different kind of heat then, huh? Primm Slim we already talked about in the last video, but in short, he's another Protectron that works as the spokes robot for Vicky and Vance Casino. I suppose you could say they're siblings in the sense that they're both made by Robco, but that's kind of more abstract thinking. If it stated in-game that they were from the same manufacturing plant or something, I could see it, but otherwise that's the only real connection between the two. Mick Ralph's is a front for the slave trade. Mick Ralph's is a shop that you can visit in Freeside that sells a variety of food, clothing, weapons, and miscellaneous items. They could even make fake passports and software for Fisto. These people have it all, including human trafficking if this entry has any legitimacy. Spoiler alert, it doesn't have much. In the secret room, where you can purchase some of the more high-end weaponry from Mick, you can see 2 infiltrators used as decoration which are not purchasable. The infiltrator is a weapon primarily used by the raiders in the Fallout 3 DLC, The Pit, which the slave trade is big there. The only other theoretical evidence that I could find for this is that there's strange meat in the fridge, which is implied to be human flesh. I don't think this is enough to convince me, but what it does tell me is that they do like to eat people jerky from time to time, so do with that information what you will. EDE is logging you. This one's pretty simple and straightforward, based on the fact that certain code words spoken by the various residents throughout the Mojave will trigger audio logs for EE, Sentry stating that he's always logging you. This makes sense at least up to the point where you can complete his companion quest. This is further reinforced though by the DLC Lonesome Road, where you meet a sort of copy of EDE, and you can ask it if it records everything around it, which it beeps embarrassingly in response to. Subliminal messages in the radio. There's a lot of major and minor radio stations in New Vegas, some of which only exist in certain areas or times of the game. However, try as I might, I couldn't find any subliminal messages anywhere. Most of them just played licensed music or character dialogue. It would be really cool to have some kind of creepy number station style thing in the game just for scare factor, but as far as the base game goes, there's nothing like that.
This according to an old man armed to the teeth with dynamite.
No Bark is the chosen one. This one's pretty cool. It's a fan theory that's been going around for a while about No Bark from Novak being the chosen one from Fallout 2. No Bark is probably one of the most interesting NPCs in the game. Not much is known about him, but he's got some of the funniest and most perplexing dialogue in the game. Some of my favorites are,
"Well," says No Bark, "we got a chupacabra with an automatic weapon. I come face to face with the chupacabra himself one night, whilst I was investigating whether this gecko was hiding his treasure from sensationalist hooey, cooked up by superstitious yokels, seeing phantoms of their own imagining. Ghosts, commie ghosts, but don't know they're dead, hoping to steal our rockets so they can fly up and paint the moon pink and draw a Lenin face on it."
Anyway, there's a few pieces of evidence that people commonly use to back this up. One being that the wrecked highwayman is located near Novak. This is reference to the Chosen One's vehicle in Fallout 2. In fact, upon finding it, it'll play the theme Gold Slouch from Fallout 2. The other being That Gun. That Gun is a unique weapon that you can buy or steal from Cliff Briscoe and Novak. This is a reference to Fallout 1 and 2, where it was a one-of-a-kind weapon in 1, and more mass-produced in 2. Josh Sawyer on Twitter noted that it's called that because it's That Gun from Fallout, Fallout 2, and Blade Runner. People also point to the fact that he has knowledge of Lenin and communism that he may have picked up from the Enclave oil rig, and the fact that his age would roughly line up. This Reddit thread in the description goes into more detail than I will here, and it's a very interesting read. It brings up a lot of neat details, and in terms of fan theories, it seems like one of the more plausible ones. Southern Passage DLC. I'm not exactly sure what this one's referencing. My best guess is it's referring to the Southern Passage location in the DLC Honest Hearts. The Southern Passage is the path to and from the Mojave where you start and end the DLC from. If you guys know what's going on with this one, please let me know in the comments because this doesn't give me a ton to go off of. Much like this next one. Fiends hallucinate innocents as demons. This is another one that I couldn't find much information on. Maybe something in their dialogue would allude to this, but otherwise I don't have any idea what this entry could be talking about. Plus, the only dialogue from the Fiends that matters is this one.
"Back again? Jesus. Name's Neffy, friend. Driver Neffy. Pleasure to meet you." "Now you fucking dolt. Why the hell would it be a pleasure?" "Huh? Oh, lots. More than any other Fiend. Hundreds, maybe. Wham, bam. Oh, God, my brains. You hit me in my brains. Easy as that. Get fucked."
The Divide was an inside job. I'm pretty sure this one was thought up by George Bush. During the events of Lonesome Road, you can piece together that Courier accidentally delivers a package containing a detonator to the Divide, which sets off the warheads, turning the Divide from a blooming civilization into the hellscape that we see in-game. As stated by Chris Avalone on the Obsidian forums, after the NCR took over Navarro, they discovered the detonator. Not knowing what it's for, but seeing the old world symbols on it, they hired the Courier to take the package to the Divide, which was also covered in the same symbols, leading to what we see in-game. I feel like this was just a case of ignorance on the part of the NCR, them messing with things they don't understand, and causing destruction. The Siege of Firebase Zulu. The Siege of Firebase Zulu is a joke mod made by the Hermit84, that's an homage to the work of the modder SomeGuy2000 who made the popular New Vegas Bounties mods. It would have included, and I quote, exactly 412 and 18 lines of dialogue, crap ton of new world spaces, the main quest providing 80 hours of gameplay, 190 if you're really goddamn awful. Passion and original thought. Bobby Bass. I'm going to link the mod in the description because I think it's funny and well written. Big Iron was written for New Vegas. Big Iron is the hardest jam in the whole game and fits with basically any section of gameplay. If I weren't afraid of YouTube copyright striking this video, I'd let that shit bang out the whole time. That being said, it isn't true. Big Iron by Marty Robbins was released in September of 1959 on the album Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs. It was featured in New Vegas when Obsidian made this masterpiece in the year of our Lord 2010, but it wasn't written specifically for it. The game takes place entirely within the Courier's comatose brain. I don't like these theories. These feel like a lazy cop-out, similar to It Was All a Dream, or everything taking place inside a simulation. I mean, I guess it's not entirely impossible, because you do get shot in the head, and that's enough to put anyone down for a while, but you can literally sit down and chat with your disembodied brain in Old World Blues, so if that's not concrete proof to the contrary, I don't know what is. Dinky the Dino is alive. What I think this one might be talking about is the Dinky the T-Rex souvenir. It's a scale replica of the Dinky the Dino attraction in Novak, and sometimes at random intervals when you stand near them, they'll make out a barely audible roar. Obviously they're not alive, but somehow the batteries in them are. Either that, or Cliff is changing the batteries on all 1,000 of them every so often. It's a cool little fact that I didn't know until recently. Van Buren 1910-2009 build. Do not research. This is clearly a copy of the Mario 64 Iceberg entry about an alleged early build of the game that you shouldn't research due to it causing seizures and other harm to the viewers. These are obviously made up urban legends and nothing more, but applied to the cancelled Black Isle Studio Fallout game Van Buren. A tech demo and some screenshots exist of Van Buren, but short from crashing to desktop, I don't think it's killed anyone. Lone Wolf Radio child killings. The Lone Wolf Radio is a location in New Vegas that was once used by conspiracy theorists who ranted about the evils of the government. In the base game, you can get a Wasteland survival guide as well as a star bottle cap here. This entry is talking about a creepypasta that was made after the game came out, about a child serial killer and an alleged quest line that would see the Courier joining him in his rampage. The creepypasta states that the recordings and the files for the content still existed at Obsidian. When asked about it at a Twitch Q&A, Josh Sawyer stated that it was all completely made up. All mods are canon. Pretty straightforward. This entry states that all mods are canon. For better or worse, the people who control what's canon to the Fallout lore are the current owners of the IP, i.e. Bethesda. And while they have retcon things here and there and allow for mods, that doesn't make every single mod canon, no matter how much we want Easy Pete with giant anime milkers to be lore safe. However, they can be canon to you. Nobody's stopping you. Todd can't police your thoughts. The Great War never ended. The Great War was the nuclear war that occurred between the US and China that resulted in what is essentially the end of the old world that we know and the beginning of the setting of the Fallout series. You could argue that it's ongoing due to the world still feeling the effects of the war, but due to both of the participating nations' societal collapse, I would say that it's definitely over and both sides lost. Do not trust Yes Man. The only thing I could find on this one is this Reddit post where the poster argues that Yes Man doesn't really need you, and that his programming and AI could be twisted into taking over Vegas and more of the Mojave by himself. In the Yes Man ending, there's a bit of dialogue that goes, "I'll be going offline for upgrades to my personality matrix that'll allow me to be more assertive."
I didn't want to make a big deal about this until after we won, but, well, I found some code snippets in one of Mr. House's databanks that will let me, reprogram my personality to be a little more assertive, basically. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and it's going to take me a while, so it'll seem like I'm offline. But don't worry, everything will be okay. I've updated the Securitron's targeting parameters, so they know what to do. Vegas will be protected. So that's where I'll be, off making a few changes, and I guess I'll see you around.
That, coupled with some unused graphics for an angry or sad face for Yes Man in the game files, could be alluding to the idea that Yes Man isn't as trustworthy as he lets on. True Divergence Point. The Divergence Point is a point at which the Fallout lore separates from our real-world timeline. It's been left intentionally vague, being sometime after World War II, and we do get a few concrete dates throughout the franchise, such as the Sunset Sarsaparilla Company being founded in 1918. There's also been an argument that it's happened several times throughout history, with only some things being changed, and others remaining the same. Regardless of when these differ, I think it grounds the series in reality just enough to be believable and give it a unique charm all its own. The Easy Pete apparition. This is another ripoff of a Mario 64 Iceberg entry, but with a Fallout skin. The Mario Iceberg talks about a Wario apparition that people see, and it chases them down and they see it in their nightmares and all that classic creepypasta cheese. This is the same thing, but with the absolute lad himself, Easy Pete. Obviously, this is a joke entry and not to be taken seriously. Wait, what's that? So that was the bottom half of the New Vegas Iceberg. It was a long one, and if you've stuck around until the end, I just wanted to say thank you. It really means a lot to me. All the support and the positive feedback on the last couple of these was incredible. I've seen a ton of channel growth in the last month, and it's genuinely awe-inspiring, and I'm really happy that I can make stuff that you guys like. These were super fun for me to do, and while I don't exclusively want to do icebergs, I'll probably do some more in the future. So if you've got a game you want me to cover, or a suggestion for an iceberg, let me know in the comments and maybe that'll come up as a future video. I know this was a lot of dumb entries and goofy stuff, but if you enjoyed it, liking the video and subscribing helps me out, and I'd appreciate it a ton. Did you have a favorite entry? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.